Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Deplorables with Attitude. I'm your host, BenBen. I hope all of you are having a lovely, lovely week. You guys ever think about getting married to your significant other recently in the past, talking about like getting married with girlfriends, what you're going to name the baby? And oftentimes that like idea comes up of like, oh, who could we get to sing for the wedding? Could we get like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith? No, that's a bad example. John Legend, someone like that, right? It's a big deal. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if our song was sung at our wedding by the guy, or better yet, that he proposes to me? Ooh la la, ladies, right? That's the big thing. He proposes to me, and while he's doing it, it's like Bon Jovi playing like whatever that shit that they play that everyone knows, like Small Town Girl, living whatever that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, but what if you set up a very, very much like proposal, whatever, or better, you hired someone famous for a wedding to sing, and then you get on stage and you sing. So your girl is right there, like, she's sitting in a chair in the middle of the room. Everyone's behind her, and the banquet tables, right, for this is the rehearsal dinner, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you have like, I don't know, you have John Legend, you have like the guy from 98 Degrees, Nick Lachey, whatever the fuck it is. You have someone and he's ready to get into it. And like he's been paid, he's there, and you decide you're just going to like get on stage, take the mic and sing his songs because you like them so much. You get off on the idea of Nick Lachey watching you sing his songs, and that's what makes it happy for you. That's your happy. And so Nick's like, hey, no, and you're like, no, I got this.
Like an emasculation or...
My head's underwater, but I'm feeling fine. Something like that.
Yeah. Well...
Like you want to, your goal is to have Nick Lachey look at you and be like, oh my God, he's amazing. Like that's your wedding present to yourself. So your wife gets to see you take the mic from John Legend, Nick Lachey, one of the Backstreet Boys, whatever it is, and that's like your thing. Like, yeah, babe, it's for you. Look what I got for you. I paid him, but you're gonna hear me sing. So both of your egos are kind of stroked. Like, he was kind enough to get me this awesome person that we both like, while at the same time he gets to usurp that famous person. That famous person in his mind gets to watch him sing their songs and be in all of it and basically be able to do nothing because he's already been paid.
Well, yeah.
My head's underwater, but I'm feeling fine. And then your eyes are closed and you think that everyone's like smiling at you, that they're like, oh my God. But they're not. They're frightened because you have this fantastic talent to your right or left. And they are just standing there like, I don't know what to do.
Wouldn't believe the amount of people who truly believe that they can sing very well.
That's part of the thing. but it's more than that. You've paid for the experience. You've basically bought yourself a concert.
That's really funny.
And then John Legend's just like, I don't know, Chrissy, can we go? Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I actually just got asked to sing at a wedding. One of my studio owner friends is having a wedding coming up, and they're doing this thing where they ask, because obviously he owns a studio, he's a musician in multiple bands, used to be a keyboard player for a very famous person, gold record,
You can say who it is. It's
well, yeah, maybe it's good promotion. So Ron DiArgenio, he's from
no one knows
the East Coast. Well, yeah, no, they could look and then they'd figure it out. But
everyone can know someone by Googling.
Well, no. So they're doing this interesting thing, him and his fiance, at their wedding, where they're having, because they have so many musician friends, they're not like pressuring people to do it, but asking everybody if they'd like to pick a song and sing for them, which I thought was really, I think that's really sweet.
What are they doing?
they're asking the wedding party, since it's like full of musicians, if people want to bring their instruments and pick a song and sing for the rehearsal.
Like while it's happening or right now, but before the rehearsal?
Like while it's happening. I don't know if there's any like organization.
Be like a live jukebox is what you're saying?
Yeah, which, I mean, I thought it was kind of endearing. My thing is, I think, at least for me, my gigs lately have been really nice in the way where they're loungy in background, sort of. So I've never sang for a wedding, and I don't envy anybody who has to. Not that I'm opposed to it.
Simple Man?
Is that
it Neil Young?
Simple kind of man.
Yeah.
No, it's not Neil. No, Neil's got a very like
Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
I was hoping in my head that it was like Neil Young, so that Neil Young could be at your party and say, "Can I sing?" And he sings "Simple Man," but he changes the lyrics and bashes like, "Oh, give me a simple kind of man," not Joe Rogan. So, you know, because he was like, you know, he boycotted him from Spotify. That would be funny if he just like made it all about himself.
You know what would be funnier is if I asked, like, if I told them that I had a special guest singing with me, and then you came up there and just like took it away.
like Johnny and June. Hey, June. John, I can't sing that song. Come on, I've been asking you 45 different ways, and I just want the one different answer. Come on.
You show up all 6 foot.
That's a great fucking scene.
Yeah, it is. In my head, it'd be hilarious if you came in and were like, "I'm performing," and then like came up and did something, and then just left all 6 foot, and people would talk about it. We got married in a fever, hotter than a Brussels sprout. We've been talking about Jackson. Well, ever since the fire went out, we're going to Jackson. Yeah, this is headed.
I fucking love that. That like I used to sing like what's that fucking baby, let's groove
away from. You used to sing that.
Oh, don't be confused.
It's catchy.
Yeah, it's Huey Lewis. Yeah. I wish you could just like, because in my head I'm at dinner and I'm singing that with the date across from me, and everyone at the restaurant is just stopping what they're doing and being like, "Thank you for this." And it's not solipsistic or narcissistic, and it's not narcissism. Everyone in my head is grateful that I'm doing this and with this other person without anyone asking, and they all are grateful. Even the people that are paying for a babysitter and they like don't have a lot of money and it's like a very special night for them, even them, they're happy that I'm doing it. And they're like, "Do another one, please."
I wonder if this is truly how you feel it would go.
100%. I've talked about it on the podcast. I have this very odd ability to separate myself from events to where I realize what they would. So, for example, obviously, that wouldn't go along so well for everyone at the restaurant in real life. But there will be a moment where people will get home or text their friends like, "You don't fucking believe what I just saw at this restaurant." And they kept doing it encores, but they kept singing the same song from the beginning. "Oh, baby, let's groove. You want another one? Oh, no way from here." And that would be fucking hilarious. I did it 3 times in a row. People will have for example, in the stand-up comedy, hate fucking the crowd is almost as good as making them laugh. Making them hate you is almost as entertaining as making them laugh, if you really think about it. Because they'll have something to talk about for the rest of the fucking week.
I wonder if that's how Bill Burr feels at a lot of his...
He told me that my Down syndrome son that I brought to the show could have a drive-in movie theater played off his forehead. I was really upset by that. But that type of thing, I was like, oh my God, that's really... that's the thing. It really makes people think.
Well, I think it's a position.
You ask the burn victim in the audience, "How do you like your cheeseburgers?" "Well done." Something like that. Fucked up things like that. You just keep going. Or maybe you go all Michael Richards, hardcore. Not like that.
I think
but
no
like
matter
in a
which
more
way
playful
this pendulum swings, you get a kick out of the shock effect.
I
of
do
life
think
and
that
the
there's something
reaction.
about, so going back to this idea that's funny, I
Mhm.
do think there's something about like embarrassing yourself in a way that doesn't necessarily cater to being talented, like highbrow or even showing ability. That's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is weird and kind of embarrassing. Like it could be so bad,
Yeah.
and you just embrace it, and other people are not necessarily amused. But it's really all you made their night either way.
Yeah.
If you were Celine Dion or Andrea Bocelli,
Yeah.
you know, like time to say goodbye, Conte Portiro, right? It's the same thing as if you are like the people that get yanked off stage for American Idol. It's the same. You're just as entertaining. Just as entertaining. It's like this idiot wouldn't stop fucking singing, and he just kept doing the song over and over on a fucking loop. And then you know what he would say? He would change his inflection on a song and be like side B, and then do the same song again.
I'm not telling you where my new gig is because it's at a very nice restaurant in downtown Austin. No, I'm afraid that you're gonna like be eating there, and I won't see you over this large menu, and you'll just like surface and start singing with me, and then be like, "Where's my payment? I'm leaving. Thank you very much."
Sarah is currently dating a member of ISIL. I don't like the word
ISIL?
ISIL. I think it's kind of weird, but that's
I think
the
that's weird
common
too.
name for the Islamic State. He's weird because he keeps asking her like, "Oh, look, the West is very transphobic. You don't like them very much, do you?" And I'm kind of confused by that because like I know he's recruiting her to be part of the team, but it's like, don't you guys hate gays anyway? That's kind of a weird. You're appealing to something you cannot provide for in the end because you're like, oh, we hate homosexuals. We were just trying to trick you.
See,
like transphobia is very popular. You know, like all the TERFs. Oh, it makes people hate America, which is the goal to get you to join our team. And then we make you hate the gays. So it's kind of contradictory, but it's good. In the beginning, hate is hate. Doesn't matter.
See that? No, that's interesting.
Have you worn a hijab yet?
No. You know, I actually like,
he's devout, right? He's a hardcore motherfucker.
No. Well,
you know, as far as
so I'm currently sort of dating two people.
Didn't he like
People.
Aren't they both?
Not,
isn't one of them Al Qaeda and one of them's ISIL?
No, one of them is. Well, I made the mistake of saying that he doesn't believe, he's just not practicing Muslim.
Because he's trying to keep it undercover for the next attack.
Shut up. The other one is, and I thought it was like every time after we'd have sex, he'd shower. They're very clean. And then he'd like roll out his little rug like, I just need to pray. And I'm like, God, does he have to pray?
Didn't I see
like
him
a
on
washing?
Adobe Premiere with like a video with he and like a friend of his in like a fake cockpit where they're like headed towards a building and one of them looks afraid and then they turn to the camera and put their thumbs up holding hands like Thelma and Louise and it goes, just do it.
No.
Nike.
No.
It's fucked up, man. That would be a good. That was fucked up, man.
But surprise. So
for?
my best. One of my very, very
ISIL training
good
video, Nike sponsorship.
One of my very, very good friends here, one of my best friends, is Australian. She was married to someone of
Al-Hajjab, the youth, the northern Syrian
an Iraqi who practiced Muslim, and she said that she could not convince this guy. She wasn't Muslim. And she wasn't when she was married, so that was a big deal. But she could not speaking of homophobics and everything, which I thought this was very interesting.
Homophobic sounds like the way you said it sounds like harmonics.
It's not, well, and it's just, but anyway, so she thought, or she told me that she couldn't convince her husband that lesbians existed, but he would accept that two men would be together. But lesbians were like, no.
Some gay men that lesbians exist. A lot of gay men think they're fake.
But I thought it was funny how it readily, she's like, oh, he would say 2 gay men, oh, that's fine, but 2 lesbians, no way. And I was what?
It registers. There's a lot of gay men that like kind of play along with like, oh yeah, trans, woo, lesbian, yeah, and then they're like, they're kind of they're transphobic and they're homophobic because they think lesbians are bullshit too.
She had like a sneaking suspicion that he may have been gay before she divorced him. So maybe that would follow with your theory there.
No, my theory is that you're dating an ISIL member and he's recruiting you. That's my theory. I think it holds water. After I saw that video on his laptop, I was first of all, the work was excellent. He did great cuts, quick cuts, very good. When they smiled to the camera and put their heads up, I was like, how did they make it so that the front cockpit looked like they were about to hit a building? Because like, where did you get that perspective from? I don't know. What movie was that? It was amazing. It was excellent. So they rendered that completely, and it was like fake and digital. That took taken months. So I respect the work, I really do. Neil Parrish, a Conservative Party member of Parliament, sounds. He says he's resigning for admitting he watched pornography in the House of Commons in a moment of madness. He says that the first time was accidental. He told the BBC it happened after he was looking at tractors. But the second time, it was intentional. What? What do tractors have to do with like everyone has a primer, right? I guess you're stressed out, but tractors get you to start looking at porn? What's that about?
Some farm girl all forlorn in the hay.
2 female colleagues said they saw Parrish look at porn from his phone while they were sitting near him. Yeah, man. I think looking at porn at work is a healthy thing. Like I think getting off at work is probably makes you a better worker. Like if there's smoke rooms and there's smoke breaks, should be masturbatory breaks, especially if you're in like a high powered position, like you're an investment banker or you're I don't know, you're a high powered law firm or something like that. You don't want to use like the hand soap as a lubricant and have your member stinging, in the bathroom, which I did on one like summer internship once. That was a bad idea. Not good. Long run dried me out. Could not, was not good. Had to take time off from sleeping with the girlfriend. Anyway, so it's like there should be a kind of like accommodation for getting that release.
I am imagining what kind of accommodation.
A masturbatorium.
Like glory holes at work.
No, you're not facilitating sex for a higher practices. You're simply giving people a place where they can feel comfortable and get that.
I know, but what if there were just like robotic glory holes, and they like said some company slogan over like this.
Well, in Houston, they were
hole.
gonna create a sex robot place, but they shut it down. I don't understand because it's like. Allegedly, the reason it was shut down was actually the strip clubs were coming together to stop it because they thought it would take money away from them, and so they used the same license, the sex industry licenses for adult work, like adult places like that are only like so many in a city, and so they had all the strip clubs, which pay a lot of taxes to municipalities, come in and say, we don't want this here. We don't want guys like fucking robots. And so they try to make it like it was publicly like it was a religious thing. Like it's wrong to fuck robots.
God.
But wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't you be a better worker if you could go on your lunch break and fuck a robot and then go back? People think like, like Mike Tyson before fights didn't have sex so he could build up his testosterone. I argue that if you really need, you can't direct that energy to your work sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it's like you get to take care of that and then you go back to it and you'll be a much more productive worker.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's like letting you people like tech firms, like they have those fun areas to, like with all the catered food. It's amazing. Or like you get to bring your dog to work thing, or like some like remote hybrid experience, which is all designed to make you a better worker. A masturbatorium at work is not. Everyone does it. Everyone poops. It's the same book. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
So why not? What's inappropriate about it?
Yeah, we're all adults. You're in the future, Andrew.
You're paying your employees shit where they have to actually jizz into a cup to sell it to make some like money so they can pay their Netflix subscription. Let them do it in a way that's more humane. Like, I don't care what you look like. If you end up telling a girl in the future, oh, I fathered 47 children through in vitro fertilization because I was low on money when I was younger, you're less of a prospect because it means that your seed's been diluted. So you want to give your employees the best shot at running up the career ladder, which is giving that release, letting them masturbate in a nice, safe area. Safe is key. Safe spaces for masturbation and for freedom of speech or
like
protective speech.
how
whatever
some
side
companies
of the coin
are
you're on.
putting into like de-stressing rooms where they have like those egg chair, or what are they?
They put down like at the
Like
doctor's office for
cloud
that sheet of paper
ceilings.
that Jerry Seinfeld used to say was like where you wrap up a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing. That's from his I'm Telling You for the Last Time album. I used to listen to that before I went to bed when I was a kid, over and over again. Actually, that might be the reason why I think stand-up comedy is frustrating, because you're pandering so much that you could have like the same set for 6 months and say it every night over and over again, and it's like it scares the crap out of me doing that because it's like, it's just not me.
Yeah.
But George Carlin, I think, came up with new material like 4 times a year. He had like 4 different shows. He was a great hard worker, but he was trying stuff out a lot. But I almost feel like the people that are just going to a show, you owe them a good show, even though technically a comedy show that's not like a paid, like the Comedy Cellar, the Improv, it's really designed for the comic to like try things, and for the lesser comics they kind of have to be on, so it's kind of weird. But it's unfair to like try shit out that doesn't work if you're like people are there. I feel bad, my opinion. It's wrong because it's really like you have to practice somewhere, but like the psychology of like practicing at something new and then failing at it, so you have this perfect gig. It's reaffirming that every time these people come to see you, and like people laugh, but then you're trying these new jokes, and like the people paid $5 at the cover to get in, and their drinks and blah blah blah, and their Velveeta cheese quesadillas, where everyone's like, don't get that because it has Velveeta. You're like, I don't care, it's fucking good, and like they have to hear you try jokes that suck. Like, it's tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would imagine it's like with me and my music gigs, I don't like, I agree with you where I don't like to sit on a set for too long. There has to be new songs introduced.
How about lying down? Is that okay?
I am lying by my dog. I am away from him too much, and it's the only time, and he loves it. I'm pillowy for him. He loves it. So, what's going on with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? What are the newest?
Well,
What's the latest?
She's gonna take the stand soon. She's gonna be. I'm exhausted by a lot of it at this point. I've mentioned a lot of it. I'm sure people that are watching this show are like, how much more of this? But the reality is, it's just started. Her half of taking the stand. If the defense wants to cross-examine her, and then if they want to do have rebuttal witnesses, this whole fucking thing could be like another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month.
This is like the OJ trial.
Well, it's interesting. So what's hilarious is that Johnny Depp sues Amber Heard for libel, $50 million, and then Amber Heard countersues for not 50 but 100. And I'm just like, what is this? And at first, you see these elements of this attempt to show, well, we can't prove that Johnny Depp, through the court system in terms of a guilty, like criminal charge, assaulted her. But given these circumstances, he might have, or you can't prove that he didn't, which is a horrible argument because like it's a unfalsifiable claim. Oh, he was high, and people were not paying attention, and in that time he could have done something, which is it's not the same thing. It's not an affirmative. Right. So that's the best they've done. They've also labeled him as being like, a drug addict in general, and that would imply that he must be abusive. And I think that the underlying characteristic in his libel claim is the physical abuse, not whether his alcoholism and drug use is a form of abuse relative to her claim in the news that he's suing her for libel, which is that Johnny Depp was physically abusive, which was for the ACLU payments and her other claimed pledges to these groups for large $7 million all in total, which she did not actually end up giving. She claimed that she had financial hardship, and she used She asked Elon Musk to pledge $500,000 to the ACLU. She ended up giving them like 1.8 or 2.2 of the 3.5. In another group, she's missing $3.5 million. I forget. It might have been a woman's abuse place. It might have been another. I don't know. But Johnny Depp gave them money. Even he gave some abuse charity money. Like he was like happy to do that. And she was pissed that at one point Johnny was sending the checks directly to the charities rather than to her, which is like, but yeah, it's like really creepy. And then she demanded $14 million in the divorce tax-free, which is really like $20 million, you know? So it's crazy. Like she looks worse and worse. She looks worse and worse. But am I kind of tired of it in a way? Like, because this, regardless of what happens in this case, Johnny Depp looks way better, and I think it'll help his work. The fact that a woman can just say, and she didn't even mention his name. I made fun of this on one of my earlier podcasts months ago, where she talked about how she mentioned to the paper, like, I had sex with and dated a pirate who was abusive, who may have pelted me at some point with Wonka bars, whose name starts JD, Jonathan Depley. I don't know. Like it was that bad. It was like something like that. And so after that release, the ACLU also drafted, I think, the press thing of her like described. It was crazy. It's very odd and incestuous, and he started missing gigs because of that. And then the abuse claims became more like acute. And he's just like, this woman's insane. She's basically trying to become a multimillionaire and profit off the idea that she's a survivor of one of the ultimate Hollywood old guard, at least living old guard actors, Johnny Depp. And it's like Johnny Depp apparently from this trial comes across as a bungling, abuser of drugs, abusive to himself, maybe abusive in terms of neglect in relationships or something like that. But she's borderline. She if you don't give her the right, if you don't turn the knob to open the door the right way, she might lose her mind and feel disrespected. You know, I had a thing back and forth with a girl on Instagram. She's like, oh no, she's CPD, NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, not because it was hilarious to have a borderline say that I was incorrect in my diagnosis of Amber, saying that she's like all borderlines are empathetic and nice and like they never would like do anything like. I'm like, well, okay, so where does that stem from? So you're saying that a borderline can't be a bitch or mean or like inconsiderate or rude or selfish? Yeah. Like they're so empathetic that it supersedes everything.
I hate like black and white. Like everybody has the capability. Like there's some people who are really hard pressed to be like, well, you know, like they slap a label on it and they're like, this means X, Y, and Z.
No, actually, I showed her the psychiatrist explaining that BPD symptoms and histrionic personality disorder, which is a variant, tend to have emotionalities and empathy, but it's their own emotions are always prioritized. So there's a selfishness there that develops issues of narcissism where you have to placate the borderline's feelings over yours, especially when they feel wronged by you, which ends up making like the whole situation extreme. Like they become extra offended, and like you have to prove to them over like in 3-hour session of them being upset about seemingly nothing that you're very sorry and that you care about them. And it's like a shit test. It's called splitting.
Okay.
I talked to this girl. I told her I like dated 2 borderlines in my life, and you know my mom was probably borderline. My dad's a narcissist, and like I have an idea of it, which doesn't imply anything necessarily good about myself. But the fact that I recognize that I see Amber Heard looks like the malicious borderline I dated years ago, who was very calculating and manipulative, but also self-destructive. Like there was like a very brilliant person, very talented, very capable, but also clearly the ends in terms of the behavior was very dark and self-effacing, and not in a way that was designed to benefit them in the long run. Just was like brutally like destructive. So Yeah, it's I'm like, she's it's going to be interesting for libel claims in general because the trial in terms of substance to say basically irrefutably that she's a liar of the abuse allegations, that she doesn't have the see if this is in Scandinavia or Finland, she would be fucked.
Mm-hmm.
She has no standing here. The precedent is that you can say, "Oh, you hit me," and like it's just like if you hit someone 5 years ago, then you're automatically guilty. Or if you have a drug problem and you've cussed someone out before, you've shown anything relative to the idea of being violent, you are guilty, likely. So it's going to set a precedent that's enormous.
Yeah, well, for like that's why lawyers and it's advisable to document, and share.
There's no criminality. There's no going to court. He wasn't arrested for abuse. There's all this bizarre she also said she was caught on tape saying no one will believe you, Johnny, because you're Johnny Depp. God. Like crazy things like that. Oh well, no one will believe that you didn't hit me because I'm a woman. Yeah. And they started they found some tape. So this woman's recording things on purpose. No one does this. No one mentions the context of someone. How do you have this recording? Oh, because Amber took it. Johnny didn't do this. Amber did this. Recorded and then provokes him. But a couple of times they have longer tapes. They play them. And the context changes. You'll see a primer where the tape plays and Amber's like, "Hey, aren't you aren't you embarrassed that you hurt me yesterday? That you hurt me, Johnny? Aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you sorry?" And it's like what?
Well, she's trying to get him to say yes, I did, but most of the time
that's not normal.
He's just like, "Shut up, fucking cunt."
But no, eventually, that's out of context too. Eventually,
you can tell he's out of it because most of the time he's just like, "Fuck off."
The psychiatrist for Johnny Depp, and I will say that in fairness, mentioned it, but I've had the same feeling. A borderline can drive you insane. Will you you want to get away from them because they're shit testing you so hard it's too much. It's exhausting. Yeah. And you want to go to another room, and her behavior of blockading the doorway or hitting him for leaving it's my experience exactly the same thing. You feel they'll even I went to couples therapy and it's I was they explained a situation one way. Mm-hmm. And then in couples therapy you're not allowed to bring up individual psychoses. Fucking waste of time in this situation. When you're dealing with the borderline, she would manipulate the situation in a form of perspective of emotionality, and I'm a logical person, but she'd frame it in a way that she knew the psychiatrist would resonate with in terms of what my issues are, which is that it's more than likely that the psychiatrist will easily label me as a vapid man who isn't sensitive enough to a woman's needs or something, right? So she framed it that way, and I would be like, "Oh, I guess she's right," and then leave the psychiatrist session, walk up the street, and be like, "Holy shit, that's not what happened." No, I just have this epiphany, what the fuck? She's like a ninja, and that's what Amber Heard's able to do. It's not fun. It's not these people. A lot of them have suffered enormous abusive, horrible things. Mm-hmm. As psychiatrists mentioned in the show, there's also people that have had no child abuse or neglect, had lovely childhood. So there's a genetic component. I read some articles involving that it might be a progesterone issue or levels of estradiol. It's very interesting, but she is a crazy one, and Johnny Depp is probably not a normal person either. He got famous really, really early, but
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, they probably had a very toxic, long-winded marriage, and it's not.
Well, yeah, you said it earlier on. You never wanted to give Johnny any benefit. You haven't watched any of it. I've watched all of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't make.
It's so much.
Yeah. Well, and I can't really. It's because personally,
I feel bad
for
for
me,
Amber Heard's lawyers. They're trying.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of like, can you go back to page 276 of your the London lawsuit, libel suit, your statement to did you receive 26 cents in change or 24?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, 24.
Well,
So isn't it right that it was 24 cents, not 26 cents, sir? Yeah, I guess that's right. Thank you. And no further questions for this witness. Like basically, this is the same precept of process crimes, like that the Mueller investigation was trying to do. That you lied about this thing, which has nothing to do with Trump, so you're a liar.
Yeah.
Like that type of shit. It's like weird. It's like, what does this have to do with?
There's, yeah. I mean, for me, I can't watch a lot of it because I grew up with a borderline mom who is, probably had another like maybe manic depressive too. Which one time I had a psychiatrist tell me that usually you have like two diagnoses running at once. It's not like people aren't just one. One thing. It's like a coupling.
The malicious borderline was an alcoholic, and that was the problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that's the problem.
But so the reason that's just why I can't really sit with that so long, because I'm like, I like see it for what it is. She's, I believe not.
For days on end for like 8 hours straight is like worthy of an Academy Award. But Johnny Depp's way of doing it, like his way of being like normal, it's like Johnny Depp. Isn't it true that you wanted to burn Amber Heard's body because you thought she was a witch? No, it's oh yeah, she's a witch. No, I did. He has this way of like softly talking, like with patience, that makes him sound so much more normal than what the defense attorneys are trying to do, which is make him into like a drug addict, abusive psycho. He's just like, those are text messages to a friend of mine. Amber had pooped in my bed prior and hurled feces at my face.
Who pooped the bed?
And so I wanted to express my displeasure with my current wife to my best friend. And so we like to speak in exaggerated tones, like, I hope that the Salem witch trials start again and they find her and burn her and we do it and we get to enjoy it. And then afterwards we can go and have a drink. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, like that's not it's like, so let's say he didn't actually say that. Like what are you trying to say? Like what are you trying to imply? Right. Like that he was so angry that it was there was consideration that he might burn Amber Heard like a witch, or that by saying that you're an abusive person? Who hasn't said they want to choke their girlfriend or like shoot her in the head? Who hasn't had the thought of like their girlfriend when they're annoying them in their car, just like, hey, honey, your seatbelt's on the wrong way. You want to unbuckle it for a second? And then having the daydream of slamming on the brakes at 100 miles per hour and seeing her head just smash right through. And you're just smiling like, oops. All right, that was a little too specific. But like, something. Yeah,
Shards of debris of the road.
Like that, what's that movie, like the Killer Car? That double feature with Robert Rodriguez and Death Car. Oh. Death Kill.
Yeah.
Like that. Like with your girlfriend. Every girlfriend you ever had. Yeah.
Who was in that again?
Death Proof. That's what it was.
Yeah. I just watched that trailer with a friend of mine and we were like, what?
There's an Aussie in that.
How did that happen?
Or at least acting like an Aussie. Or Kiwi. I don't quite know the difference.
Kiwi, New Zealand.
I know, but it's like saying people from like Jersey are just a completely different species. It's kind of silly. It's the only island nearby other than Tasmania.
Yeah.
I almost debated like making myself a sandwich Why do you put the bread in your fridge?
Well, because it comes frozen, that kind of bread, the sprouted grains. So
It comes frozen?
it does, yeah. I don't know if it's because it's flourless that they have to like not put it on a shelf. I roll with it. But anyway, I refrigerate it.
Why do you get it? Are you vegan or something?
No, well, it's flourless and it has way less carbs than real bread. So
what's the point? You're gonna eat bread.
well, it actually tastes pretty similar.
Is it less calories? Because that's the whole point.
You and your caloric.
No,
I haven't been a
like,
caloric
the whole carb
person.
thing is like, I see people are like, oh, well, it has no carbs. Well, how many calories is it? 8,000. That's the point.
Well, we'll investigate and keep everybody posted.
Schwarzenegger, when they have those massive meals during pumping iron after like going to work out, they tell them like, eat 20 cheeseburgers, but don't eat bread. Bread's poison. It really is. Like if I were to tell someone like, how quick could you change your body if you don't eat bread? Like your carbs are from like fruit and shit. Like you could change your body in 2 weeks so drastically. All meat and fruit. So.
Well, specifically for me too, I have like a hormonal condition that I need to be put on metformin for because it's that serious.
Dasha's actually has COPD or whatever the fuck.
PCOS. Yeah, it's intense. And so a lot of people are at a threatened risk of getting threatened by bread. I don't know. That was way more intense.
Threatened by carbs.
No, you're at a risk very, very high of getting diabetes when you have PCOS. So I have to try and navigate around it as best as I can without.
What was that show we watched about the prison break?
Oh, Escape from Dannemora.
Yeah, that's a good show with what's his name from the new Batman movie.
What?
The bad guy.
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Yes, one of my favorite actors.
By the way, the new Batman movie is so fucking bad. Everyone's getting dumber because the movies are getting worse. It just has to be. The Puff movie, like. I will say, not all of them. Like Sicario, like that was a pretty good movie. But like, there's no movies like Sicario all the time. Like the Puff movies, that was an R-rated movie. It's not a good example, but like, how do you even compare The Dark Knight to this Batman and say it's good? The Joker was a shitty movie, I thought.
Yeah,
I'm like befuddled by like, why? Like it's like the critics are in on it with the studios where like. They're like, oh, this movie's amazing, 10 stars, and you're like believing it. Like, no, they're all working together. The movies suck. Like, why would you risk critics ruining hundreds of millions of dollars into production? You wouldn't. Yeah. You just have them buy them off, and then people go see the fucking movie. It's a joke. Anyway, a prison official from Alabama is missing after escorting an inmate to a courthouse for a hearing. That's why.
Can I say something really quick?
Is it relative to what I just fucking said?
No, because you steamrolled me and went on it. Like one of your rants. It was about Ben Stiller. He made another great show. He's been like
what does it have to do with anything?
Because he's been directing some really good shit, like Escape from Dannemora, and then a friend of mine mentioned another series that was wonderful that he just did, and I wanted to give him a little kudos because
good job, Ben Stiller.
Who knew?
You definitely need the work because you have like money problems probably because of all your egregious spending and womanizing. I'm just kidding. He doesn't do anything. He seems like he's worth like $1 billion. He's done everything right.
Well, he's very talented. I mean, very, very. I still have to dive into this new show, but Escape from Dannemora was great.
I actually like The Duplex. I've always liked that movie, Drew Barrymore. It's probably my favorite Ben Stiller. No one really likes that movie, but I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
Anyway, back to why I brought up Escape from Dannemora by Ben Stiller. See it. He's doing great. He needs your money, people. Go see that series because he needs it. He spends a lot of money at the strip clubs on shiksas, the lap dances from the shiksas. A prison official from Alabama is missing after escorting an inmate to a courthouse for a hearing. The woman looks like the fucking woman in Escape from Dan Mora. I mean, like
What?
basically like the murderer from like Charlize Theron played in that movie. Same type of look.
Monster.
Same look. Yeah, that like haggard, very blue collar, like poor genetic white trash look type thing. Yeah, that. She kind of looks like a chipmunk variation in terms of that. But yes, I'm speaking very poorly of my white brethren, but I can do that because I'm white. So yeah, this is not one of our best. And the other guy is he's like on death row, or he's been held for capital murder charges. And so one of the things they're looking at is, you know, what was their relationship before they left? You know, kind of like were they hanky panky, so to speak. It's also unusual apparently for a guard to take an inmate by herself or by themselves, man or woman, to a court hearing, like 1:1 ratio. It's always like 2 minimum. So this is this is not following protocol. How that happened is crazy. The chief of police says our policy is for any inmate with those kind of charges to have 2 sworn deputies escort them, and that didn't happen. He looks kind of rough, but these are prison photos. She looks like a chipmunk, and she was trying. So, you know, she probably had makeup on and rouge and all that jazz. Again, doesn't really get a difference. I don't really see it because she looks like a chipmunk. But, you know, it's fine. I hope that they are fucking and having a good time. Even if you've killed people, I think you deserve to have some sex and not be like, you know, murdered at the electric chair. Oh, by the way, I remember hearing something. Someone in South Carolina, or was it Texas, South Carolina, Georgia? Someone has asked to be like killed by firing squad, like by instead of like the electric chair or lethal injection. They've been asked to be killed by a firing squad.
Really?
In the United States, and that's like one of your options.
Isn't that like one of your fantasies? Is like the shootout?
Oh, I want to die in a police shootout. Yes, like after a heist.
This was something like
me versus
every few months you would like dance on that with me, like
my arch nemesis who happens to be a cop. He's like, I'm like we're like I'm in a field, have like a Glock. You know, we're both trying to find each other. It's like, I told you I ain't never going back. You know, that type of thing. And then like I see we both fire. The plane, you know, flies up just like in heat. You know, blinds me. I get a shot in the side. You don't know that I'm bleeding till like I pull my jacket back, like Tom Cruise in Collateral. By the way, Tom Cruise, if you listen to the podcast, you probably don't. That's okay. You should definitely think about doing a remake of Heat with Leonardo DiCaprio or something like that. That would be fucking the shit. If they did a Heat movie again, like that hard, maybe like how the Sicario guys do it or some shit like that, that would be a fucking good movie. That's a good fucking thing. Hard. Like not puff piece, no trans, like faux pro-trans, no like, oh look, this cop happens to be like, you know, bisexual. None of that. Or like, you know, just like real, like just about like, you know, people with problems. And maybe have like a Natalie Portman character who's potentially BPD, whose father isn't around, and she cuts herself in the bathroom. That fucking movie had everything. The whole Natalie Portman being cut thing and showing the father figure, the stepfather of Al Pacino, who is the overworked guy who has this thing where it's like he has to stay on the edge, otherwise he'll lose it, right? I gotta be on the edge. Where I gotta be every time. Come on. That was really, really beautiful to see him like round out his like I may be an absentee lover, but I love this girl and her father's a son of a bitch. And there's a circular nature of like, if you're around, if you're chasing all these bad guys, you're not going to be a good father figure. So you're going to be like her stepfather. Mm-hmm. But then you see this bring back, like he sees that she doesn't have someone there. She cuts herself in a bathroom and she almost dies. And it brings him back around to what's important. These are glorious things that happen in that movie. When I first watched the movie Heat, I know I'm going off on a little bit tangent, but not really. I saw the second half of the movie first. Why? Because Blockbuster Video had 2 giant like tapes back then, the VHS. And I didn't know that the asshole put tape 2 into this tape 1 slot. So I just took it out from the casing. You know, everyone used to like shop for movies based on the casing. Like, oh, look, Nick Nolte's in that. Oh, it's another 48 hours. Oh, I like the first 48, but another one? That sounds good. So yeah, like that's what people did, and they'd look at the covers and they'd flip it around, and sometimes people would just buy movies based on how cool like the packaging of the movie was. There was no Rotten Tomatoes, there was no fucking internet, there was no like, hey, store clerk, what do you think of this one? And not like Clerks the movie where it's like, oh yeah, it's an excellent work. It's Italian. No, there was none of that shit. It was just like that cover has Mel Gibson in it. Look at that ass. He's got a great ass. And so you'd get the movie, and then you go and you watch it. And I they just fucked up the tapes, so I watched tape 2 first, and I said to people after that, Heat's the best movie I've ever seen, but my impression of it is incorrect because I saw this tape 2 first, and then I realized halfway through tape 1, which is the second tape I watched, that it didn't make any fucking sense because it was all headed towards the beginning. It's kind of like Memento in a weird way, you know? Like
yeah.
But like it was so beautiful what I was watching. I was like, this is the greatest fucking movie I have ever seen in my life.
We should watch it. I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's my favorite movie still. I've watched it in chronological order. Still my favorite movie. How are you supposed to be like, you know, like a husband or a father if you have to move every time I move? That's, you know, that's just nothing like that, you know. And then like the great line when they're at the diner, and at the diner is Robert De Niro. This is my favorite line. I allow nothing, no one in my life that I can't walk out on in 30 seconds flat when I feel the heat coming around the corner. That's the discipline. And then Al Pacino's reply is like, well, that's pretty vacant. It is what it is, man. Yeah, it's like, well, maybe we'll never see each other again. And now I'm fucking up the accent. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like, it's such a beautiful fucking movie. So everyone listening, watch that fucking movie. Also, another movie you should watch to have a little bit of culture, even though it's like faux culture because it's pop. Best Offer with Joffrey Rush. Love that movie. I started watching a little last night at 4 o'clock in the morning after helping my friend sell some fucking antiques. It was exhausting taking the pictures because when you have to remove the background from poorly lit 19th century Louis the 13th pieces like armoires in a dimly lit garage, and then cut out all the areas of like this, you know, like the bicycle, the sack of 1980s Playboys. You want to move all that away so that you can like post it online. You don't like there. It's not easy to get all like to trace it out and get it done correctly necessarily because the lighting's so bad that the dark matches the wood, so your computer doesn't like. So it took me a while because it was 3 pieces.
Well, in my defense, you are 6'6", and these are like 7-8 foot pieces. So your arms, you get better angles than me.
Doesn't mean anything. But anyways,
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no professional lighting, so that took me a while. But yeah, I love Joffrey Rush. Another person who's been accused of, he won, I think, his lawsuit against some woman who accused him. I'm not saying he's just not been it was like in the theater. Like I think a lot of sexual assault probably happens in the theater. People get like all hyped up. I don't know. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, I don't know. There's a woman today at the grocery store who I know was wearing her favorite pair of jeans. And you all know when a woman's wearing her favorite pair of jeans, it's not because they feel comfortable. It's because they look fucking amazing in them. And I will say that I don't give a fuck. This woman's ass in those jeans was the best ass I have ever seen ever in a pair of jeans. I mean, it was perfect. Mm-hmm. It was, those jeans were like made from her like chromosomes. Like it was beautiful. And I almost wanted to go up to her and be like, I really don't want to be thrown out of the grocery store because I'm not done shopping. But I just have to say that if you are unaware, if you have any like ignorance, the fact that you look fucking amazing, specifically your ass, in those jeans, letting you know right now, baby, you got it. Perfect.
You're like a walking 80s commercial coming up. Like Tom
what would
Cruise.
that commercial sell for? Like creamer?
It's like all like some of your like flights of fancies in your head and these like imageries, they remind me so much of like an 80s like advertisement, and you're like shucking down the aisle with like Ray-Bans.
What if I'm in the tampon aisle buying tampons for like my wife or girlfriend or something, and then I see this girl and it's just like the Chevy Chasing and National Lampoons with Christy, the supermodel. What's her name?
Christy Brinkley.
Yeah, she's driving up in the Ferrari and he's kind of like going like, doing the little dance, and then he's like blocking his wife's face. Like I'm just kind of dancing in the aisle when I see her ass, and she's smiling at me. I'm just like holding the tampons, just kind of dancing like. Just like oblivious to what I'm holding and what she might think of it, and she kind of laughs, thinks it's funny, but like it's obvious that it's like those tampons aren't for me. It could be in this day and age, but yeah, probably not. And I'm because I'm fixated on her ass, so it's unlikely that I'm, gender queer or whatever, and stick tampons up my ass and feel like that's the right thing to do. Man pawns, as what's his name said from what's it the Big Show, the skateboarder guy that had that show with the big giant black guy, and he was a really small skinny white guy. God, that guy was a big guy. It was like MTV. It's a really good show, really entertaining. But he used to say he had man pawns, which is kind of gross. But anyway,
an MTV show.
Yeah, it was like an MTV show. Like MTV does MTV even exist anymore? I have no idea.
I think it like turned into all of these like teenage reality shows.
Yeah, they did that like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
So
that makes me feel really old.
I like my MTV.
Are you talking about like Singled Out? I remember when I was
That's
younger.
a show.
I watched
No.
Singled Out.
This is something new.
Is that MTV?
It's called like Wildin' Out with. So it's like
Nick Cannon.
No. Who's that guy that wears the? He has a show now that they show clips of like funny things that happen on the internet, and he like hosts it. And he's a white guy with a baseball cap that's very straight, and he's goofy and he's pretty funny. That guy. He's a skateboarder.
Rob Dyrdek. Yeah,
Rob.
He's very funny. Robin Big.
Yeah, Robin Big.
That was actually a really good show.
It was a great show. It was a great show.
Shit, I'm going to be honest.
I know, man. Shit.
He's very charming and naturally funny.
Very like, yeah. He's like, I don't know what he is. He's just talented. There's a talent there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Big was too. Just like. They also just didn't give a fuck, really. I don't think which way.
Well, the producers help a lot too, because like you if you just be yourself and they cut the show and make it funny. Like what's that show that's on like Hulu or that family, like this new TikTok star or whatever. They like film her family, and it's like kind of like the Kardashians, like how it's cut. Like there's a crisis because there's more milk than there are Cheerios. And somehow they make that into an episode of drama. Like it's just like that's what it is. Like that's what TV becomes.
Right.
It's like, but the milk expires tomorrow. But there's only like a fourth of Cheerios at the store's closed. What? And then it's just like you actually have empathetic feelings to the people on the show about this, and you actually have a life and things you could do, and a dog that may or may not want to go for a walk, but you're so fixated on this Cheerio problem. Like that's what reality TV is.
Yeah.
So Boris Becker was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for bankruptcy offenses. If you don't know who Boris Becker is and you're not as big of a tennis fan as me, he's a professional tennis player, the Germans, who got into like really weird investments. He won Wimbledon twice. I think he won 7 or 8 Grand Slams. And he just made bad investment choices. And so he owed like millions of dollars of loans to like one person in particular, and also a specific bank. And then he subsequently, in order to avoid paying his loans, filed bankruptcy. But like after he filed for bankruptcy, he started moving money that he still had, like a few $100,000 here. He moved to like a house in Germany into someone else's name, and he also tried to avoid giving up his Wimbledon trophies and gold medal, which is really sad to have to sell, because like you owe millions of dollars, but how much are your Wimbledon trophies going to go for at auction? 20 grand, 50 grand? Like, it's not like that big of a dent. It's also kind of fucked up that they can take that from you.
Yeah, right. They said that seems like a personal like memento.
Like O.J. Simpson trying to go back after his like Heisman Trophy they're trying to sell, and that's how he ended up going to prison. See, they said he was accused of like kidnapping by like holding the person hostage in a room, saying, "I want my." The person felt threatened enough in a hotel room in Vegas. It was all set up apparently. Like they took his shit. His dead wife Nicole Smith's family allegedly had something to do with like stealing his mementos, hoping that he would go after them so they could set him up to be like a violent like guy trying to. It was like a setup, and then he went to prison for 7 years or something because of this crazy situation where he's trying to get his stuff back. His stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big tennis fan. I think it's kind of insane. He'll serve half the time, so it seems, I don't know. It's like he'll do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
About a year.
It's too bad.
It's more than bad. It's just insane. He was a coach of Novak Djokovic the last like a few years ago. He's been on TV.
One of my other favorite scowly faces.
Novak Djokovic?
Wasn't that he lost to Nadal? Him and Amber Heard. Who lost to Nadal because that guy?
Medvedev.
Yeah, Medvedev had my other favorite scowly face other than Amber Heard's little frowny face. He lost and he was just like...
Yeah, that was insane, man. I thought it was over. It's amazing.
He could have just been really tired, and that's his just like resting.
The guy who should be tired is the 35-year-old, not the 23-year-old. That's what's crazy. Also, you're down 2 sets. Like he was down a break in the third, down 2 sets. It was over, and then I go to bed and I wake up and it's still going on. How lazy do you think I felt? Yeah. Oh my god! Because it was Australian Open, so the time difference is brutal. But yeah, I feel bad that tennis sucks so much with young people, except for Alcaraz. Alcaraz seems like he might be good because they've slowed down the courts so much because people don't generally like to watch tennis because there's other shit to watch that people find more interesting, and tennis has had a harder and harder time trying to get that advertising revenue, so they've elongated the matches by slowing things down, like putting more sand into the court to slow the ball down to make the rallies longer, which means more air time, more advertising time between commercial breaks and shit like that. More ad exposure, net. But essentially what changed is the younger players didn't need rackets with higher swing weights, and because they were playing on slower courts coming up, the most recent generation of disappointing youngsters. And older players like Federer, Djokovic, Nadal came in right when this court started getting becoming professionals, when the court started to slow down. But they had worked in the juniors with heavy rackets because the courts were so fast that your feet didn't matter. You just needed a racket to touch the ball to get it back and play. And in order to get that fast-paced ball back in play, you need a racket that had a lot of lead tape in the hoop to repel your opponent's power. And it turns your defensive position into offense very quickly. It neutralizes the power of your opponent. But these younger players play these light rackets, and it doesn't give them a great advantage when they're playing against highly skilled players when they're in defensive positions. And I seem like that seems to be the biggest difference, in my opinion. So swing weight, raise your swing weight, people. Boris Becker, sorry you're going to jail, man. I'm a Beckhead, so I wish you well, and I'll probably, I don't know, still root for you. And I met your wife. If you're listening to the podcast, I met your wife in Monte Carlo once. You're one of your black women. he dates like a lot of black women, and one of them that was like his estranged wife was I was seeing a woman who's Russian who was friends with your ex-wife, the first one that you had kids with, and he's dating another woman who is not her, a younger woman. I'm talking about the older woman that you've had kids with. I was sleeping with a Russian woman in Monte Carlo who drove a Porsche that was like sick as fuck and had like a really, really rich ex-husband. So I enjoyed that immensely. They bought me breakfast. I was like 19 and just jacked. So I had a good time. So your ex-wife is really, really nice, and I'm sure she'll be very respectful of your prison sentence and not trash you too much when you're away from your kids. And I hope you get your Wimbledon trophies back and your gold medal from whoever buys them for like, a reasonable amount on top of what they purchased it for, because that's only fair. And I hope that you aren't really truly broke. And actually, if you don't have to pay back all this shit and your only penalty is that you go to jail for a year, but you get to keep the money that you hid, it's not really that bad. You think about it?
Yeah.
Like, like how much it's not bad. Who knows? Could be a few $1 million you're protecting. Not bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's kind of worth it.
Just a little slap on the wrist.
Think about Martin Shkreli going to jail with $80 million in the bank. It's like, for him, that's worth it, I guess, right? I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't take a risk like that. I think it's kind of crazy. But, if you're fucked yourself over and turned your hedge fund into a goddamn private equity firm, knowing the only way to get solvency is to lie to your investors, I understand why you did it. I wouldn't have done it. I think it's wrong, but hey, it is what it is. More limb lengthening procedures in the news. I don't like this trend. I feel my advantages are threatened, and that men should disclose to potential sexual partners that they have stilts implanted in their legs, and that their children, until they too have their stilts implanted, will be midgets. The title of the BuzzFeed article: he was 5'7". After surgery, he's 5'10". By the way, who gives a shit? If you're gonna risk being permanently unable to walk or have nerve damage, you don't go from 5'7" to 5'10". That's like going getting a penis enlargement thing, going from 3.5 inches to 4.2. Like, what's the difference? If you're gonna go big or go home. 6'5". You have 5'7", now he's 6'5". Holy shit, that would be amazing. People, everyone, that would have, if that article, why don't you just lie? You get a ton of clicks from that article, more clicks than anything ever from the entire population of men that are 5'7". 5'7" to 6'5". That article doesn't get as much traction as it's 5'7" to 5'10", and there's risks you won't be able to walk.
Yeah, it's upsetting you so much. It's giving you gastro.
I'm just, it's an advantage I have genetically. And I don't, I have talked about midget stacks, where you have a midget that's on top of another midget's shoulders, and they go on dates with these good-looking women that are taller. And the reality is, the woman, until they have sex, doesn't realize that she's fucking a group of midgets. And they do this to try to get normal women, and it's wrong. And and this is just as wrong, because the woman is fucking you with the sense that, oh, my genes are being proliferated by someone who's worthy of the compliment. But in fact, you're fucking a midget who's 5'7" and has stilts for legs. And so his kids, your kids, will have to get stilts too. And that's false advertising. You should sue him for that. Like some of the guys that in Korea that sue the women who've had facial jaw shaving surgery. The kids grow up like fuck ugly, and they sue their wives you not tell me you shave down your jaw. It's something like that, and it turns into a Kill Bill movie, and she cuts off her arms.
It's just dramatic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that I'm not really sure what to say about this again. I mean,
if a guy told you that he had leg lengthening surgery, I'm sure you're an empath, but all things being equal, what do you think a woman would feel like if she's been dating someone for 3 months? 3 months, okay, and he says, "I'm not 6'1", I'm actually 5'5".
I think that for me, I just believe that a majority of people are very insecure and therefore vain. For me, what I think of is immediately when you tell me this is Spanx for women. And
no, what do you think a woman in general would feel like if a man admitted 3 months into relationship, a 5'5" guy, I'm 6'1", he's 6'1" after the surgery, I'm actually 5'5", I had surgery?
I would laugh, but I'd understand. But it would be such a...
Would you be less inclined to continue the relationship?
Well, knowing that somebody put that much into themselves, financially into it, it's how big of a complex did you have?
What about a woman getting tits? I'm saying go full bore. What's the difference? And women, obviously, there's gonna be hypocritical nature, but
well, I think that a woman getting tits is...
No, I don't care what you think of that. I'm trying to say, what is it is there anything about a man specifically doing this and the fact that a man's height has the reason for being attracted to it is a certain thing? Do you think there might be a genetic component that she wants tall kids too, and she wants to actually like kids to have the height of the protection feeling? She wants to give that to her kids. And she's not going to necessarily feel the same about, well, my kids can get lengthening procedures as well. Like, she might not feel as attracted to the guy knowing that he's not truly that. Like, I would not care if a girl's like, oh, these are fake tits. Like, I would not, care at all.
Yeah.
But for a woman?
Well, I think for a man to profess such vanity, like, openly, I think it's easier for women. Yeah. It's easier for women to be like, oh, I did this completely, like, expensive, heinous, vain surgery to alter myself. But if a man says that, it automatically seems a bit like womanly and like and very insecure. When a man's insecure, it's never that attractive. When a woman is, it can still be attractive to a guy, if not be the attraction.
They call them small kings, or what's the thing? Like, he's a
Napoleon.
No, but like there's a name, like he's a small king. He's like he's a
What?
he's like
Oh,
women call a guy king. He's my king or something, but he's my small king, implying
Sounds
that
like not my cup of woman.
His accomplishments are diluted by the fact that he's tiny. Like Tom Holland, they were using as an example.
Yeah.
You know, like what? Like if Tom Cruise was 6'2" and normal and not gay, that would be, cool, and he'd be much more attractive in real life, right? But he's not.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he got stilts, he wears lifts. But if he got stilts and made him 6'2", you could probably not get over the fact that he's gay and he got stilts injected into his legs. And is a Scientologist who has the Church of Scientology pick women for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably be a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's too much. But I come from a family of giants too, so I feel like my.
Do you know that Ritalin is a street drug? Matt Lauer? Do you know what methylphenidate does to kids? I've read the research. You're glib, Matt. You're glib. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean the whole altering. I don't have whatever people want to do to make them feel like their best self and to be happy.
The gym. This is the gym. It's a similar thing.
It is, but it's the what's going to get me here now. And if you have the money to do it, more power to you. That's where you want to put it.
When I go to the gym and I do squats, I say enhance. In between sets or reps.
I think you're being totally honest. Are you?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Enhance. And then I'm down, up, enhance.
So Andrew had this talk with me about consistency because I do need it.
Once again, my name is BenBen. You stupid slut.
So BenBen had this talk with me about consistency of work. We're very different. I am, as I have professed, artist, musician. So he was telling me how every day. So it's good. He gives
lazy. It's a euphemism. Yeah.
Every day it's and then you took your fist in your hand and you did this it's a constant. And you did it 5 times and I was like, that's really sexy. That right there. And you had me. And then I was like, I thought about it later and it was silly and it made me laugh a lot. And I've mimicked that to my friends, but it was also good for me to hear. But I was also like, Andrew was like, it is a constant. If you want success, schmack.
Oh no, it's
I'm sorry.
Success in anything is often there's the level of, you've heard the if you go shoot for the moon, because if you don't make it, you'll be amongst the stars.
Yeah.
There's this equitable blind spot when you're putting work towards something that you're improving incrementally, and you're completely unaware of that incremental improvement because you're still sucking. Things are not where you want them to be. And then one day you wake up and something amazing happens because of all that like incremental work.
Right.
Like whether that's making the phone calls and connections, 17 people say no to you, but you had the balls to ask. And then one time that guy comes around that you talked to 6 months ago and you thought that it was a lost cause. He's like, you know what, let's do the deal. Or it's like, the danger of gurus with working out is that like they're like, you want to conquer the world and be the best you can be, you got to do like 25,000 push-ups a day and then you will rule the world. And it's like, what does like push-ups have to do with conquering the world? Yeah. What do your abs have to do with like kicking ass? Like no girl I've ever met gives a fuck about your ass. Like it's like, no, do you have a jet? A G5 airplane. That's what I mean. Like you basically have to like prioritize your goals and be sane about them, like about what they are and what makes you happy. Not realistic. Realistic doesn't mean anything, because like realistic is like a way of hurting yourself. Realistic's insane, because you could be so far away from anything good that realistic is just shooting yourself in the foot. So fuck realistic. That's like loser nonsense.
No, I don't. I think some.
What would Tesla be if Elon Musk was realistic?
For the stars,
it would be
and
a dune buggy
practical.
Company in fucking South Africa. That's what it would have been.
Better word.
Tesla would have been a dune buggy rental company in South Africa. That's realistic for Elon Musk. That's what realistic is. So that's what I'm saying. Fuck realistic.
Please tell me about Tom Ford.
Oh, the Tom Ford analogy is great. When he worked at the House of Gucci, I don't know if Gucci was his first gig, but one of his first jobs in fashion, he didn't know what a hem of a dress was. So he ended up taking the job line, going down to Macy's and asking the girls behind the counter to show him. That's gay man going into fashion didn't know what a hem was. That's despicable. Yeah. And yet he figured it out. Right.
I just
there are these information
this is
gaps.
BenBen go-to for me too, is the Tom Ford, the schmack of the fist consistency. And I need it, and I appreciate it.
Not blind efficiency either. Humbling yourself enough to know that what you currently have in terms of your knowledge base is enough. Learning new skills, practicing them, refining them, and keep going. Because the reality is there's never a point where you've accomplished something where you can just stop and it'll maintain the same level. It really is nonstop. And the one thing about the people that gain success and don't blow it is that they recognize where they came from and they remember that gruesome, equitable disadvantage, but they kept putting the equity in and they kept grinding. And those are the people that don't go broke. Those are the people that face the hard times are able to get through it because they remember the grind. Right. Those are the people that could buy a Ferrari and blow it up and buy 10 more and don't really want a Ferrari. Or do, but take really good care of it and don't let their 16-year-old son, they don't buy him one so he can go fuck some strippers with BPD, i.e. Amber Heard's that didn't make it into acting, and do coke off their tits. I've done all that. And I can tell you that it's fine, but it can't be your life. It's not really rewarding, and you get nothing out of it. And you may make people laugh. You may make some really nice girls that might have been cut themselves in high school and been abused by their uncles really, really happy to be out with you. But the reality is, build something with your talent. Don't just make the strippers happy and make them laugh. Focus on making people happy that can make an advantage, make your life amazing, and give you the opportunity to build something for other people and help the world.
Yeah, you have a very enterprising spirit, and I appreciate it because.
Well, I'm a man.
Yeah. Well, I would like to be a bit more
but you're
enterprising.
A woman. Okay. I just made it really simple.
You heard? I'm recording this whole thing.
Hope Solo said she's entering rehab weeks after she was found passed out in a car with her children.
Jesus.
Well, that's probably a good idea, I guess. That's good.
What is she going into rehab for? What was she
getting her kids drunk?
What?
I'm kidding.
God.
No, she was drinking and then her car stopped at a red light or something and her kids were in it. She had been it's brutal.
Yeah, that's like
it totally sounds like someone who's like a conservative Christian Catholic person thing to do. It's and then no one talks about it. And it's
very Irish, Catholic.
Not
shame.
with the kids in the car, but some woman
Catholic.
with Chardonnay and has got a Vicodin problem, and she passes out, and then everyone's Carol had a DWE. She was having a hard time back then. This is totally ripping off Tim Dillon for a second, but it's very apropos. There is this thing about there are certain things like, I had a medication mix up that's perfectly acceptable. What's not acceptable in Hope Solo's case, she is conservative, by the way, is the kids. My dad was pulled over in his Maserati with me and my brother in the car. My dad acted like a total prick to the cops. You're leaving a country club. I know. Yeah, hate me. Okay, I get it. I know. And he asked the cop, "Can you please shut the light off? It's blinding my eyes." Like, "Sir, I can't do that." Because the light, they shine the light on you, like, so it's like very, you know what I mean? It's like to see if there's any drugs in the car, which is fair because my dad purchased that Maserati in DC from Rayful Edmonds, the drug trafficker's estate. So yeah. Anyway, the guy's like, "Well, sir, you were speeding. Your kids weren't wearing seatbelts in the back of the car, but I'll let the kid seatbelt thing." He said this. "I'll let the kid seatbelt thing slide, but I got to write you a ticket for speeding." He's like, "Oh." My dad acts like such an ass to people that have like regular jobs. You know, he just.
Is this where
he would get
you
in a fight
get
with
it
people.
for-
Like my dad's just like a person. Narcissists hate themselves, and he would just like, you know, like if the person at Blockbuster didn't treat him like a king, he would get into some sort of like war. It's insane.
It's weird because you have, this explains a lot about it, because you have this compulsion where you love talking to people, but mediocrity
Normal people
scares you as well. And I wonder if
hey, you know what's
from
scary?
your dad.
That mediocrity doesn't scare you.
No, it doesn't. You know, I just have
Wait, what do you mean mediocrity scares me? What do you mean?
Well, I wonder if that's where it stems from, is your father.
What do you mean?
And how he treated people who.
But I treat people that are normal really well.
Yeah. Well, and I think, that's your mom, but I also feel you do have deep-rooted feelings about status, I think. Even if you don't express them out.
I have a feeling that I personally believe that I can do things that I have to work really, really hard to maximize. And that if I don't work hard or I'm not achieving certain goals that may be extravagant in some ways, I feel bad about myself. But I don't hold that against other people unless they're asking me to do work for their business and favors, and I see what they're doing, and there's a disconnect between the ethics.
Don't try and deflect here and spike the
No, what I'm
volleyball.
saying is, if I see someone asking me for help for something and relates to business and like the work therein that's required, I will then impose my views on work onto them because I'm forced to, which will make me come off as an asshole.
About that, I'm just saying, I think,
like, if you ask me for help in something for
maybe
work,
it helps you, like,
I can't tell you, like, I can't give someone advice for their work, but then I see that they're not doing the things they need to do for the work, like for the idea, for the startup. It'll drive me. I don't mean like choices. I mean like work ethic wise. I can't. It's just like I can't. It's very hard for me to like not be really, really aggressive and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I almost can't separate the two because like.
I'm talking about it all, but we'll proceed with Hope Solo and everything. We don't need to get into another deep psychological podcast about.
No, I know what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that I can't. Status. It's not status that I'm obsessed about. I actually don't care about status. I care about maximizing potentialities that are available, and like, don't waste time.
Yeah.
Don't embrace mediocrity, and don't think that what everyone else is doing is quote unquote normal. Mm-hmm. It's almost this control mechanism for the classes. Spend all your money on the weekends, get drunk, and do it all over again. And rinse and repeat. Like, this is a means of control. Mm-hmm. You work 15 hours a day? That's crazy. Yeah. Means of control. Rich people are evil. Means of control. Yeah. This sublimation effect, you think rich people are evil. You don't want to be rich. The rich have nothing to fear from you starting your own startup and trying to conquer. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Anderson Horowitz today is talking about how Adderall like is poisonous or something like that. It might be contributing to like suicides. I was laughing my ass off. Like, are you gonna just take every possible advantage that the classes have for fighting like the rich and powerful, not give them a tool, a nootropic that could level the playing field a little bit? Yeah, let's just ban Adderall. Like, let's have a whole campaign about, like Adderall. Because like, I hate
We
Trump
want
too.
the
So let's
cocaine.
block Adderall to make sure that like no regular person can like work like 100 hours a week. Like that. So we guaranteed not to have another Elon Musk like once in a millennium. Like that's the problem.
The
Like,
legal cocaine.
Like well, no
focused
one uses cocaine anymore. Adderall's the new cocaine.
Sorry,
No one does cocaine. If you're doing cocaine to work hard, you are wasting a lot of money. That's a lot, and you're ruining your septum. That is a lot of fucking cocaine that you need to have the same level of. Also, your supplier would have to be like not cutting it at all. Like it would be like good cocaine. What, a 30-minute, 45-minute high? Like the best cocaine available now. Maybe 20 years ago, you could have an hour high where your face is numb and you feel like amazing. You can feel like your heart's about to jump out of your chest. But like that doesn't exist anymore. Cocaine's like quality is variant. So it's $100 each. You'd be spending $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
And you'd be feeling more like anxious and like your ups and downs would be insane. I don't think that'd be very good for your brain chemistry. But yeah. I went to Oxford. Yeah. The fact that I clicked on the Amanda Bynes may have relapsed, accused her boyfriend of looking at mother-son incest porn link. I think that means that there's something not good about the news. Like there's something going on with social media, like the Hope Solo thing, like why I clicked on it. Like either I'm having a moment of Adderall me to normal me focus gaps, like taking a day off, like that type of thing, or there's something very addictive and destructive about how I click on the Amanda Bynes article or the Liam Michelle article showing Jonathan Groff her whole vagina because he had never seen one before link, like that type of thing. Like there must be like something like crack cocaine about that as to why I would click on that. Now there may be something like actually planned in terms of the strategy, like an effeminate, handsome gay actor who's out of the closet. They want to make him appeal to straight women, so they're trying to show, look, he saw a vagina and he didn't throw up, so you can still think he's sexy. Something like that in terms of selling him as a product, but and for the sake of his career, because as much as the LGBT community likes to promote like pro LGBTQ things, they'll never promote leading men as gay. That'll never happen. So like they're kind of hypocrites in that way. It's all just a joke. But yeah, like why am I clicking on these things? Like if you have to take the cocaine to get high, but with social media, you just need to look at it. With like articles that are a clickbait, you don't have to actually click on them. You look at them, and then you're addicted. It hits the dopamine, even without like really reading it. It's like some attractive woman giving a weird look, and you're like, huh. And then you read the headlines, like 20 characters, 30 characters at most. And you're like, no way. Then you click on it, and it's like much less serious than what you know what I mean? But it's like you read the whole thing. It's like, I'm waiting for that good part. And then like you get that maximum duration, starting to sell time durations for like article. Look how many people, it's like how much time they spend on the page. Pay more cost per click, that type of thing. So like it's I don't know, man. I do feel a little like the news is like, I feel like it's like I don't know. There's something very
sinister? What word are you?
Yeah, in a way. There's something very like, there's no way to avoid the shit that's on the internet now. Like you have to just be part of it. If you're not part of it, like if you have any business involved in advertising, you have to kind of like read everything and know what other people are doing in terms of strategy. Because if you're not doing that thing, you will fall behind. In order to know how to do that thing, you have to read their implementation of that skill, which is usually something involving like cocaine as an ad. So you're addicted once you even do the market research.
Mm-hmm. You know what a great movie was? Like one of my favorites that I haven't watched in years. But
The Devil Wears Prada.
No, The Network. Classic. I have my steel belt radio. Leave me alone. I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad.
What's The Network?
Oh, you haven't seen that?
You mean like this about Facebook?
No.
What was that
it's
called?
a classic. It has a Sybil Shepherd in it.
People thought my mom kind of looked like Sybil Shepherd.
Really? How bizarre. I could maybe see that, actually. She was a fox.
Yeah, my dad said my mom was the hottest girl he's ever fucked.
Let's not get into the psyche of that.
All the guys, when my mom died, all the guys come up like, "Hey, I knew your mom. She was great." At the memorial service, "Hey, I knew your mom." Like this 5, 6, 7 good-looking guys, and they're like 50s. I'm like, oh my god! Just like seeing a celebrity at the fucking airport, you have to tell this grieving son that you fucked his mom in kind of the nicest way possible.
Wait,
hey, I knew your mom. I just want to say I knew her, and I thought she was great.
At
sucking your dick, Jonathan, hedge fund manager at blah blah blah, or so and so, oil tycoon, blah blah blah.
Can we not stray from? You haven't seen one of the best classics. You may or may not have. I don't know if maybe you remember it, but it's
I don't know that I trust your...
movies you can always trust. I have excellent taste.
You think David Archuleta is one of the most underrated talents of the last 20 years. I don't know if I trust your...
What are you talking about? David Archuleta.
The guy sings like the G5 song. Never coming back again.
David Gray.
No, David Archuleta.
No, I've never brought up David Muffaletta.
You said
ever.
that you got backstage passes and got to meet him, and that you felt you had a connection.
Gray.
No, David Archuleta.
I never brought up David Archuleta.
You said that the guacamole dip that you had with him was excellent, and you said that he said that his grandmother actually gave the recipe to a restaurant, and now they cater all his backstage things so that he has the same guacamole that his grandmother made. And you said that, and you said also that he gave you a mixtape, and you thought that you would have a thing with him, but it was really just what he gave to everyone, and so you were just kind of like silly girl, oh, I didn't realize this is part of the gift basket for VIPs.
Feel that really quick. It feels
the glitter.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? This reminds me of a scent called Escada Sunset Heat that I licked off my girlfriend BPD Artho at the time in college, and tasted like Starburst candy, and I really liked it. And so I used to tell girls that Sunset Heat was my favorite perfume for women, which is very juvenile, but it's basically if I were to say that now, I look like a child molester. It's like what teenage girls would use. And so
you know what actually the best perfume scent is, in my opinion? Chance Chanel.
I have no frame of reference, and this isn't a show about that, so we're not going to talk about that.
To get better than Chance by Chanel. All my ladies. What else do we have on the docket here?
What's up?
I have to go make my plans.
Oh, we have to go. Yeah, it's been an hour and 32 minutes.
I'm sorry to be very
wrap it up. No, we're not wrapping up because of you. We're wrapping up because of me. It's about me. So I make the decisions.
All right.
But I think the last thing I'll make is just I went to really good schools, and I click the shit. Everyone's getting dumber because of the technological advancement of everything. And I really do think if people want to push e-health, telemedicine, and saying people need to have more access to doctors because of the technology that we're using is making us more and more remote and more autistic, you really should maybe force the world to take take days off their shit. If you really care, give people $1,000 for a week to go to the woods or in a cabin, not to incite serial killers and then go to the woods that weekend too and also have all these murders, but to really give them some time away. It'll take a few days for them to get over the maybe the technological withdrawal, and they'll have 4 good days of not yelling at their kids because they're upset that they can't look at their iPhone, to go fishing, maybe communicate in a way that's not passive, and maybe form some eye contact. I know that's the thing that I do. A lot of people with spectrum disorder don't make eye contact. Dr. Michael Berry probably doesn't make eye contact really well because of that, and also because he only has one eye. So that's difficult. depth perception wise. Also kind of creepy to kind of stare at someone with your one eye. You gotta like want to look at other things in case someone might be coming around from behind you. You know, when like keep a lookout on the left and the right. You know what I mean? The angles, just because you never know who might come up from behind you and choke you or something. So like you wanna like try. I know it's hard. I also know there's that feeling of like you're wasting you're like, if you're not looking at your phone and checking your shit, like your FOMO. The same idea of like, oh, if I don't work like as to provide for my family over the weekend, I'm a loser, or like I'm not doing enough. I can't like, or my startup, I need to work on Saturdays, and this I've worked 12 Saturdays in a row, and this Saturday is no different. Even though my brain feels like it's gonna like blow up, I got to do a line of Adderall and keep going. Like, no, maybe take Saturday and Sunday off and like just chill.
Yeah. And use that, masturbate at work too. Let's just loop back.
Yes, that's part of it. Masturbate at work.
Take a load off, Annie.
If you're listening,
or Johnny,
board directors, CFOs, CTOs, create a scenario where someone can like I had this idea for restaurants with like booze, and so like they're very very private, and like your waiter opens up like a curtain and like. But like that, like you're at your cubicle, and all of a sudden there's an igloo button. You just press it, and the whole thing becomes a little pod, and you can just put on your curtain. And there's a little window, but you can close that too. And then like your Jergens, you take that out from the bottom of the the filing drawer next to the TPS reports, and you just start going at it. And you have like a special. You set up a VPN in the browser so the people in the IT department don't know what you're looking at. But you don't go too crazy with your porn. Try to keep it like relatively neutral, like 70% of where you'd be. Like the gym day where you want to take a light day off. Do that with your porn at work, because you don't want, just in case, you don't want anyone to know what you really look at. I'm not saying it's illegal. What I'm saying is like some of the weird shit that you do, like hairy boobs or something. You don't want anyone to know.
Peg day isn't leg day. Like
peg
save
day?
Peg day.
Yeah, no peg day. Yeah, do like
peg leg.
Do like I don't know, like God, I can't even think what normal porn is. Like porn woman, porn man, missionary. Do that, and try to imagine from the sounds that it's the thing you actually like, which is really fucked up. All right. DWA, Deplorables.com for all your merchandise, and go to patreon.com/thebenben. Can't change it to DWA, so it's just the BenBen. And then also on Twitter, BenBen shows my handle, again referencing the old show, because just.
And if anybody wants,
no, you are not plugging fucking anything.
I'm not plugging. I'm saying if anybody wants to send me a little chance by Chanel, I'm nearly out.
No, you're not giving any private information here. I don't even want anyone, any of these psychos that listen to this show need to know where I am, or where in your propinquity to you. Jesus Christ, I like to have my privacy. I'll let the classes know where I live. All right, you people. I'll see you later. I'm just kidding. I love you all. Bye.